Welcome back to the Dirt Journal. Today we're going to do a little revamp. This is a bed that I barely got established and then had to move on to other projects here on this property. This is not my property, just one of the ones that I take care of. And you can see we've used the natural rock just to highlight a circle around this building. And we don't want the big old barren face here. We have a lot of other established beds. This bed used to end here. And you can see the ones on the inside of the yard here are well flushed out, so we want to take some of these irises and move them around and just match this bed so it doesn't look different, even though it is, because this is an addition. It's a newer addition, and just like in a house, you want to try and match the new part to the old part as best you can. So we're going to do this on a rainy day. This is one of the best times to transplant things, and we have a new olive tree here, and we're going to do that, install it. Should be the right size to kind of not just leave this big blank canvas as you pull onto the property, and add to the curb appeal. So, and this is just the natural serpentine. That's just a cold stack. Some of them are just single stones, and I just brought that around. That was a previous little thing, couple hours. And I did a little backline here of stones, because otherwise you could look up underneath the building and see the little support pier blocks that it sits on and stuff. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all this. This is grass that's about to go to seed, which would be a nightmare anyways. And we're not going to do a ground cloth here or a barrier. This is just going to be real basic, simple planting. And once these annuals are gone, it'll probably just be the olive tree and the bulbs and the more perennial or biannual plants. But just to eat up the open spot and flush it out with color, we're going to use these flower mixes, and these are just annuals. Some of these might reseed in this spot, but I have a feeling that the final go around on this will be establishing some sort of permanent weed control and you know, more permanent bushes. You need hardy things in this area, and oftentimes it's good to choose things that, you know, annuals are great if you have the time. If you don't, then you put in perennials that will just keep living for you year after year after year. So I might suggest lavenders at the base of an olive tree. I know that's a classic and cliche thing, but where it gets to be 100 degrees and down to 15 degrees, they're a good pair, you know. Rosemary's, all kinds of different things. Anyhow, here we go. So what we're going to do here is scrape it down, do the install, do the basics. These annuals won't be permanent, and then we'll probably put down ground cloth, a weed barrier of some sort, even cardboard, and bring in about a half a yard of just good topsoil, put that in here, and do the final installs. But for now, because of the season and the timing in the day, this is how we're going to do it. So I'm just removing the soil. I'm not taking it off the footprint. I'm just using it in a low spot somewhere else where we don't mind a mix of pretty flowers and stuff. Literally what we're peeling off. We're just scalping off the root wad that's got left for a couple years. unattended. And now we got to finish it up. We're probably just going to do this and then use some sort of mulch top covering as a weed suppressant for now. Very thin. And then if it's desired, then we'll put down some ground cloth and, you know, more dirt. We have plenty of room here. We're taking it down a few inches and we built the bed deep, so. That is the first part of that. And tools used, pretty basic. Plant in. This is a good sign that you have proper compaction and yet aeration. Is I got it on about that much, and I'm just letting it flow now, and it'll fill up that whole pit that you saw, and then we know it's good and soggy. We don't have any oxygen on any roots. Any little ones that I broke separating up the bottom will be in water, which if you're taking a cutting and sprouted it in your windowsill, you know that's one of the best ways to go about it. And then this area is all cleaned up. Around the corner, this is what I've been doing. I brought all these rocks, finished the line, they'll wash off and look way better. So what we did with all the clean fill that had no seeds, because it was down way deep in the ground, and used it to fill in behind a little fence line here. And this was tall standing grass like you see down there, and so we've coated it and compacted it. And because this was bare dirt, it had some wash off, some wasting from the water, some erosion, and so we're just basically adding a couple inches on and some thatching. And also because we're late in the season for little sproutlings and stuff, and it's going to dry out up here right after it quits raining. That's one of the things about being on top of the mountain, is a lot of the little sprouts won't have a chance. They're actually smothered out now. Use some of the rocks to hide our little clean out valve. This comes from springs way far away. Always be sure to have a spot where you can clean out your stuff. You see I have and that looks a little slow to me, but that's a tapped natural spring from up in a faraway meadow. And this is a filter, an inline filter, so it comes through here, filters out. You can unscrew that whole thing, rinse your filter. They're semi-reusable. Just an inline filter, even just for all your little micro drip systems. You can see I ran don't get clogged up, just that all your micro drip systems don't get clogged up. You don't want to send gunge down them even if you are not using them to drink. So anyhow, this is a real simple setup. I have this line that just goes around, hits a fence line. These are trees that we put in last fall that are coming back from dormancy, and iris, and then these that you see in the foreground, these are all California poppies. So with some bark application, some hand weeding, and then just the poppies themselves holding ground. Do you see that? These are all baby poppies, and then big ones, and that's what goes across the landscape there. In here, we're going to use this mix, and I have pulled larger irises from other spots where they've gotten thick. You got to divide them up. You divide your bulbs up. It gives the ones that are left room to grab some nutrients. They start putting out more and bigger flowers and dividing again, and then you have others to spread around. So we're going to try and bring this look of tall irises and stuff around the back here. You can see when I was cleaning it out, I purposefully left some California poppies that had volunteered inside the beds here, and that's okay. They're going to sprout in the background and not be too much, and not confuse the visual between out of the bed flowerscape like we're doing and in the bed. So you see we have clean gravels, this bed, and then a barked in area that we've used to do all the area that's not parking. Gravel in the parking, bark everywhere else, and then flowers. And that's worked semi-good here, you know. Without maintenance, eventually the grass will take over. But with some real basic maintenance, this is what we have. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. That's probably enough water. And tuck the little snake back in its basket there for cuteness. We're going to take some of this ground cover, bring it around in other spots where we have some mints and stuff. We'll stick in little patches of that too. And as a gardener, you know that even if your annuals, when, not if, they are finished and they fail out, that you have some perennials that are already spreading. So there's our little olive tree. That's how it looks on the building. Ta-da! Tried to bring, it's good to center and twist. So there's our center board coming down. Tried to keep the trunk in the center board and the what I think is the center spire of the top. Right there. Some good dirt. It should go poop. So, no further ado, let's plug these things in and go home. That's what you're looking at so far. I'm going to bring over more transplants now, little flat green things, and blend it in more. We have all kinds of mints and things that I can bring over here. I already started bringing some patches of little wild calendulas and stuff over. But getting the main staples in there early so they can spread out, and then taking an assortment out of each of the packages. And we'll use these to make little planter pots that match the front bed that will go up on the porch. And well, thanks for joining me on this. And I hope that if nothing else, if you already have seen all this done before, I hope that you get a chance to do it, and that your springtime is filled with all kinds of blooms and freshness and new starts. Remember to stay connected to your roots, and thank you for coming on the quest for details.